Here's the man, the myth, the legend, getting it done, David Furones. And David, what everyone wants to know is, are Rousini and Vrabel banging?
Oh, my God. You're going to hit me with that right off the bat?
It's a lot better than talking Dolphins. Go ahead.
Oh, man. I've been trying to avoid this topic on
but you're on the wrong show. You're on the wrong show, bro. On this show, there's no fence straddling. You see those pictures? Your wife is Diana Rousini, and she says, I went out of my way 125 miles to go drive over there to pay for a $2,000 romantic getaway, and I ran into Mike Vrabel, hung out with him at the pool, held hands, locked fingers, looking out at the rocks. They're banging. I mean, if they're not banging, no man does all of that without the payoff. I'm just saying.
Big O, yeah, we all know what we're seeing when we look at those images. But, yeah, I mean, I will say I like Diana Rousini. Every time I see her at National League.
She's fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes. I
love her vibe.
Friendly. Yes. She's one of the few insiders that follows me back. National insiders who follows me back. So I appreciate that.
She's dude, Joy Taylor looks like a cool person. She does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know her from Adam, okay? Don't know her from Adam. She looks like a cool person. She effed up. So what? We all F up, dude. We all F up. And the problem is the optics are impossible to argue. And that's the problem that I would think that specific husband and wife, when they see that, dude, come on. I showed it to my wife and she was like, oh my God, they're definitely cheating. She was like convinced, like, well, what Cuban woman is going to see those pictures of you? Come on, dude.
No way. No way.
Exactly, bro.
All do. No.
Yeah. Chancletazo. They're throwing.
I was just going to say exactly that. You're going to get the chancleta.
Yeah, you're going to get everything, bro. Are you kidding me? The mother-in-law is
going
to
frying pan over the head.
Yeah, dude. I mean, are you kidding me? And that's where, unfortunately, Vrabel's golden. You realize that, right? He's golden.
You think he's golden here?
Oh, my God, yes. The owner is in an Asian day spa. They drafted a killer that was part-time playing football and killing people. The original quarterback that won 6 titles left another woman with a kid and said, see you later. The second woman with 2 or 3 kids and said, no, I'd rather go back to Tampa than would be with you. Okay. We're talking about the perfect organization to be a guy committing affairs. There is no, by the way, they had Stephon Diggs, who was impregnating women every other month while he was playing there with the Patriots, and they were delivering babies every other month while he was there and fighting with Cardi B and girlfriends in the stands. This is the perfect organization that if you're going to commit affairs, you want to play for the Patriots.
Yeah, but now, I mean, I don't think there's any coach who, okay, just because you're having an affair, that would be some fireable offense. It depends on.
No, not at all. Not at all. My point is, in the Patriots, they celebrate this. So it's all good. I don't
know if they celebrate.
Yeah. Kraft is going to look at him behind the scenes. Been there, done it, worse. Would you like to see the video? No, Bob. No, thanks. And there's Belichick checking it out, going, mine's hotter than yours. So your former coach is also banging a 24-year-old. This is the Patriots, bro. This is the Patriot way. By the way, years ago, there was a reporter exposed to Patriot missiles. Do you know anything about that? Is he silent? Is it muted? Do you know anything about that? No, it's muted. We can't hear him.
Yeah. No, I'm lagging here. So I got like.
No, you might be lagging here too, but I'm just. Do you know anything?
Yeah, my connection. I got bits and pieces of that. What was the question at the end?
That even years ago, a Patriots reporter faced Patriot missiles. You know anything about that? Damn, he freezes up on the tough question.
I do not. Yeah, right. Conveniently, right?
No, dude, you're young, so you're not gonna remember. I believe the name is
okay. This is back in the day, huh?
Lisa Olson. Could you look that up? Lisa Olson, naked Patriots player, Patriots. Just put Patriots missile Lisa Olson. That's how it was, because it was this was a while back that it was about a woman walking into the locker room, and she had a dude right naked in front of her, and then it became a thing, and so they said that she witnessed the Patriot missile.
Oh,
yes. I believe her name was Lisa Olson. If my memory serves me correct, I believe her name was Lisa Olson, or maybe not Lisa, but it was Olson. But I might have gotten one of them right. But if I remember correctly, Sean will look up the story. But anyway, my point is having fun with all of this. Vrabel, it is Lisa Olson, right? I'm good, bro. I'm good. And you should look up that story. Look up the story of Lisa Olson and the Patriot missiles. So you can so you can see the long history that the Patriots have. So Vrabel fits in perfectly. No, but seriously, it'll hurt him maybe with his wife and his family, but the public ain't gonna do anything about that. As long as he wins, they don't care about that. Yeah, Diana is the one that unfortunately is gonna pay the price here. Unfortunately. That's it.
And I know I see she's been quiet on social media. She hasn't really been tweeting since it all went down. Fired off one like at 6:30 in the morning of like a link to a story in the Athletic, and then
replacement officials, and then they're asking about replacement husbands. Yeah.
Obviously, what the comments are going to be like. What I will say is the unfortunate part of this is that I'm around a lot of female reporters who go about things the right way.
Legit.
Legit. Aren't going behind the scenes and doing this to get scoops and whatever. And then
I had Michelle Kaufman on yesterday, bro. There ain't nobody more legit and has worked harder in this business as a woman than Michelle Kaufman, and she's an absolute stud. She is awesome. She's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? So I see young people like Giselle Espinales, who on TV, she's legit. She's really trying to work, and I got to know her when she was at QAM for a little bit. And so any woman that is working in radio, that's usually a really good sign of somebody that really gives a shit about the business, not looking for, whatever. And so, yeah, man, there's some women out there that are legit, and they're working it. And I feel bad for all women in general, because the Rousini Taylor stories are the ones that end up hurting them in the long run, unfortunately.
Because there's so much stereotyping that goes on about women in sports media, and then this just is going to lead more people for these inappropriate comments, social media, the berating that then a lot of the victims are going to be the ones who do it the right way and do it legitimately. So, and then everyone's just going to be accusing. Whenever a woman gets a scoop, then they're going to face more of this BS. And whenever a woman advances in sports media, it's going to be.
I just think that once we see an Andrea Kramer and we see certain women, we know that they're not into that bullshit, and they're the real deal, and they want to work it, and they're not there to try to work some angle or anything like that. So there are women out there that actually have done the job the right way forever, dude, and has set a great example. Those of us in the media, we know. Hey, look, bro, I see one out there locally that all she does is post, pretty pictures of her at different events, and we're covering this, and we're covering this, and, she looks fantastic. But when I look at the substance, there's no substance there whatsoever when it comes to reporting or anything. And so, you have the different types. You have the types that want to just be models, and maybe they are looking for somewhere, somehow, or you have the ones that really, really want to work and really get it done. It's just, It's kind of funky like that. All right, let's
I'll tell
move
you
over.
what, I'll tell you what. You said you had Michelle Kaufman on recently. I would have loved to be in her class, which I was when I was a University of Miami student. Back, I won't say the year, but where we hit on a lot of these topics, like real topics. She talked about women in sports media, and there were like classes devoted to these kind of subjects. I would love to be in her class to hear her address this topic. I don't know if it came up with you guys when you had her on.
Oh yeah, no, no.
I would love to get her perspective.
No, she was in the Omaha Zoo. I wanted to get into Inter and UM, and then she was there because her husband Dave was playing in a band, right? And the band has let's see, now I'm trying to remember Stephen King, the novelist. It's like four different novelists are in the band, like famous novelists. Now I forgot. Pat, if you're watching or whatever, put in the names. I forgot the names now, but it is ridiculous the names that are in that band. Mitch Albom is also in it. I forgot now. I'm trying to, and I have to go off the memory from yesterday. But it's like an all-star of writers, and they have I forgot the name of the band too. Anyway, so she was there for that and the performance and all that stuff. So it was really, really cool. So we got into that subject too. I wasn't going to bog her down with this one, but with you, there's really not a lot to talk about with the Dolphins. So I figured we get into a more spicier topic on that one. Plus, I want to get your opinions, which it's pretty obvious, unfortunately. Even if they didn't do anything, those pictures ruined it all for them. It ruined it all because those pictures were super romantic. It's what they were. Okay. Just saying.
Yeah. You don't think? No. And I mean, I've been out at the combine, owners meetings, everything where like you see a lot of the high profile NFL people, the coaches, the GMs, maybe even owners. And then, you also see interactions. Hey, like media is around this. And then you see some interactions between media personalities and these high profile NFL folks. But I mean, a lot of those, you're always seeing them in larger groups. It's like a group of reporters, maybe they're having drinks at a bar, and you see like the source building, the relation. But this is something different. This is obviously like a setting aside from everything else. So and it was actually just the day before. That was on the Saturday. That would have been just the very day before. A lot of people were owners meetings were starting that Sunday. Basically, everyone's getting in. Like for us in the media, we pick up credentials and we roam around, see who we see, and then all the real stuff starts happening Monday and Tuesday. But if those pictures, like I saw, they took place on Saturday, and that was just like a quick pit stop. I know Arizona State Pro Day was kind of like in the middle of it too, like right before it or something. So. Yeah. It all kind of like lines up like, oh, we were just seeing everybody, out in Arizona for owners meetings right after that happened. Wow.
All right. Let me move over to a Dolphins topic now. The Troy Aikman thing. I saw Chris Perkins wrote an article today, and we'll get into a second part of this. I don't really think Troy is making any personnel decisions. Can I see Sully calling him and saying, what do you think about Malik Willis? Or what do you think about this quarterback we're looking in the draft? Let me send you the film. Your thoughts on that? I can see him reaching out to Troy for a decision like that, but I don't believe he's making any personnel decisions. Do you?
I wouldn't think so. Personnel now reaches into another area where this could just be anyone else that can make a personnel decision, can make personnel evaluations. When you go over, like, let's say the college tape of a draft prospect, like they're about to go into the draft, I think Troy Aikman, where like he said in that interview with Clarence Hill out in Dallas, that where he is valuable is this league-wide information from being connected to so many people that you can grab from him. So I think that's more so where it was at the beginning of that process of you're looking for the GM. And then now you can reach out to you can use Troy Aikman as a resource of someone who really knows the league, knows a lot of people. You can figure out who he thinks highly of, who he can tell is really sharp and really on it when he goes around and talks to people. So I think that's how they ended up with someone who, for all intents and purposes, for what I can tell so far, is sharp in new GM John Eric Sullivan. And then through that, then also knowing Jeff Hafley, he's this type of guy, this direct communicator, which would pivot from who you had previously a head coach in Mike McDaniel, and then you knew Sullivan, he was going to feel highly of him, and not just from being together, but from actually seeing how the two operate in Green Bay together. So I think that's how you ended up with this GM and head coach hire is really what Aikman said on that podcast with Clarence Hill was just really utilizing the knowledge that he has, this league-wide foundation of just knowing the league all around, and then using that as a resource to acquire information and really.
For me, that interview was more a shot at Dallas because you're doing it with the Dallas writer and all that. Yeah. It wasn't really about Miami. It was more about, just in case. Hey, Dallas fans, while you're asking about this, hey, listen, they never asked me, and so that's why I'm now helping the Miami Dolphins and all that. And now I have a stake in it, and I'm rooting for them. I think it's basically he did his job where he helped get Sully hired, and he believes in them, and then that's it. But I could see him being a sounding board for something, but I don't believe he's making. I believe Sully's making all the personnel final call.
Absolutely, yeah.
Put it that way.
That's why you settled on this guy to take on that job, and now he's going to be the voice. He's the one that's standing up there and then answering to every single move the Dolphins make from a personnel standpoint. He's going to be, more available than Chris Greer was as far as just talking on what to do, being the voice of the franchise for all these decisions. So, yeah, I mean, that's what he was there for. And then maybe as this relationship has been built, then, yeah, you can go and reach out to him and just see what he thinks, feel him out on
the quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
Quarterback for sure.
Yeah. Like you would with Marino. And that leads me to my follow-up, which I wish everybody in the local media would bury already and fans would bury already, because Chris talked about it in his article about, did Troy Aikman leapfrog Marino? No, he didn't leapfrog Marino, bro. Everybody's got to stop it already. Marino doesn't want anything to do with being a general manager, a personnel director. He doesn't want anything to do with that shit. He doesn't want to grind like that. He wants to play his 9 holes of golf or 18, talk to the sponsors, talk to some season ticket holders, be a sounding board, be around, but not have any pressures of that. Years ago, I saw him at the Senior Bowl, and he ran away from that shit within a couple of hours. He didn't want anything to do with that. So I don't know why people keep pushing Marino into this when clearly he has shown, bro, they keep hiring people and firing people and hiring people since he tried. And he didn't give a shit about doing it then, and he doesn't give a shit about doing it now. And so I don't know why people keep pushing Marino in there when he just wants to be around but not have the pressures of being the guy. Do you follow that? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree with that?
Yeah, no, that's very fair. I've kind of just I hadn't known what to think of it. Like I do wonder. My mind maybe goes there. Like, how does Dan Marino feel about this? That Troy Aikman is now this point person in critical franchise decisions. It's easy to have your mind go there. But they're sitting next to each other at the press conference, introductory press conference. Yeah, I mean, I think you could see it more as just, all right, they're teaming up now. Marino still does what he does, and he doesn't want to go do more than that. And then Aikman, now he's got, 2 decades now of being in the broadcast part of it, where, okay, so he's got the playing experience, so he knows a lot of people from Dallas, and then now he's been in all these production meetings from just getting to know people around the league. And I know that people make a big deal of this with Tom Brady on the other side of it, that he's I don't know how much you're going to acquire in production meetings to then.
No.
Take it
hold on. Let me explain something there to you, just in case, and other people out there. While Brady barely got anything, But Aikman for 20 years has been standing on sidelines in practices on a Thursday, on a Friday, on a Saturday, whatever it is, if he's doing a Sunday or Monday game or whatever the hell he's doing. And he has stood there next to a general manager, a personnel director, a college director, scout. And I'm sure that they have shared information and talked about stuff. At that moment, it didn't matter to them. Now that they're involved with the Dolphins and they're involved with the Raiders, those kind of conversations aren't going to happen anymore. It's going to be straight production. They're going to be led onto the practice field with the rest of the media and all of that. They'll be taken to a separate room for a separate interview on their own because obviously network gets priority. We know all of that kind of stuff. But the days of maybe you might have gone into a draft room, Troy, 10 years ago, because oh, man, let me show you something here, Troy. And, because it's Troy Aikman, your hobnob. Those days are over for him now. Those days are over. And guess what? He's going to understand that. He's going to understand the competition, and he's going to say, professionalism. Hey, I understand. We can't have the same conversations we used to because you're pulling for the Dolphins. So, yeah, did he have access in the last 20 years that maybe gave him some more perspective? Hell yeah. Is he now going to be limited? Hell yeah. That's what's going to happen.
That's a good way to put it. So, I mean, now the Dolphins, they kind of jump in on it where you've got everything for that, he's acquired over the past 20 years. And then now he won't continue to get that kind of access, but because of this relationship with the Dolphins, but you still jump in right there at the beginning where you can still acquire what he has obtained over.
That's why it's much to do about nothing. It's media making bullshit up. Because it's the offseason. You think these teams are stupid now? Now that Aikman's tied to the Dolphins, they're going to give him the same access, the same conversations? No, dude. You cover this league now, bro. How paranoid are they? They're paranoid about everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, exactly. So this is all media fabrication bullshit, dude. Because it's common sense now. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Aikman's tied to the Dolphins. Oh, wait a minute. No, Brady's tied to the Raiders. And Brady barely did it, so he never really got the luxury that Aikman had for the last 19 years. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it kind of changes overall. Now it'll be limited, dude. It's not – people are silly, bro. They think like they're going to allow Aikman to walk into draft rooms now and, hey, look, check out our board so you can go tell Miami what we're thinking. No, man. Silly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly. And the whole thing with Marino, just let it go already, bro. Just let it go. He did his part, bro. He carried a sorry-ass franchise for 17 years, and they never did enough around him. And now people want him to carry him to another level, and it's not his job, bro. He did his job already. He does what he does, and he deserves whatever life he wants to have. I don't know why we keep pushing responsibilities on the poor man that he doesn't want or need, period.
Yeah, let him be. He's done a lot for this franchise for South Florida, and I mean, clearly, I think we would have seen it by now if there was some kind of rough butting of heads or anything. We would have seen it by now. He's clearly fine with it all.
Bro, he would have sounded like Aikman. He would have gone somewhere else, taken a job, and said, well, the Dolphins never wanted me. That's what he would have said, but that's never happened. The Dolphins even offered you the job. You even went and tried it for a couple of hours and said, yeah, it's not for me. And because he doesn't want to grind like that, dude. That job is a thankless and a job that is 24/7, and you have no life. You really have no life when you're doing that job, and he wants to have a life. It's obvious Marino wants to have a life. Let him have a life, bro. That's what I wish Dolphin fans would do. All right, let's get to a fun question. What is for you the perfect combination when we talk about the first couple of picks? All right. Give me the ideal combination of your first and second round picks.
Okay. Well, So the last mock draft that I had, I did have them going. So in this mock, I had a lot of my preferred picks selected before the Dolphins get there. So like I would like if Ruben Bain fell out of the top 10 and was the pick at 11, like home run. You get an edge rusher, stays home, who's can lead your pass rush and be a 4-3 defensive end in this system. They're gonna run 4 down linemen as a base. Coached by Jason Taylor, like, oh my God, that would be not perfect. But I have him off the board. I have like Caleb Downs off the board, who I think would also be a home run pick. Like I look at edge rusher, corner, tackle, wide receiver as like the biggest positions of need, and then safety also there, but safety not as much positional value. But if you could get a talent like Caleb Downs, then I would take him. That would be like my 1A, 1B. But in my mock, I did have him without them there, without Mansour Delane, who would be my top corner, with Maui Noah taken. Then I had them going Jerron McCoy, the Tennessee corner. But any of those other names who I mentioned, I would still probably take over him if they fall to 11. And then at 30, really depending on how it goes. In my mock, since I didn't wide receiver with the first pick, I have them going wide receiver at number 30, and I like Denzel Boston, who came up one time, like a viewer asked about him, 6'4" wide receiver who runs smooth routes, very productive. I think he'd be great. He's expected to go around there. He's like a tweener on the first round, maybe fringe first round pick. If you're at 30 and you use the pick that you acquired, the top pick that you acquired in the Jalen Waddle trade, to bring in Denzel Boston out of Washington with all those traits, then I would love him there. But, if you don't get your corner, I wouldn't be mad if it's like Colton Hood from Tennessee, if you get him with the number 30 pick. If you go, if you don't get your pass rusher with the first pick, if you go like Keldrick Falk or Zion Young, one of them who might go later in the first round, if Akeem Mesidor is there by some act of God, then fantastic, So any of these guys, which Mesidor and Falk, they also fit like the 4-3 defensive end that this team could utilize at Hafley's defense. Those are the ways it could go. That's how I mocked it. Was McCoy and Boston, but yeah, then if like Bain is there at 11, if Maui Noah, if Caleb Downs was there, if Delane is there, I'd take any of those guys.
All right. What are you working on in the South Florida Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, leading up to the draft, we're doing a lot of positional previews between Perk analyzing the draft class at different positions, and those same days I analyze the Dolphins depth chart. So far we have done a lot of the offense, quarterbacks, running backs, offensive linemen, tight ends, and then so all those are up on the website, and then next week we'll do wide receivers and all the defensive positions as we count down to the draft, which is in less than 2 weeks.
And don't forget, Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. If you're dealing with bankruptcy or homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Remember, you have any damage to your home, your business, your condo, never, ever call the insurance company. That's what we're trained to do. But that's what the insurance companies want, because you and I don't know the laws and the loopholes, and they take advantage of us. You call Welt Rheaume, they send their adjusters over, they assess the damage, and then they call the insurance company and attack them. And trust me, they will get their attention right away when a lawyer reaches out to them, not you and me. When we reach out to them, brother, it's like bait. It's like chum in the water. So you'd rather send your bookend tackles, Jeff Welt and Daniel Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Follow my man David on Twitter at David Furones _. Have a fantastic weekend, my brother. We will catch up.
Thank you. Sounds good.
Thank you.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.